We are back. We are approaching week 13. This is the Fan Bros podcast. It's actually been a little bit since Hunter and I have been able to get together in the studio, and here we are, ready for week 13. We're excited to bring it to you.
Yeah, we're in the thick of it. The playoff hunt is here. It's a lot of y'all's last regular season match this week, and a lot of y'all need to win. I know we need to win, both of us, in certain scenarios this week, so let's get right into it.
So today what we're going to do, it's going to be a little more informal than usual. We're going to start off. So our Lucky versus Loco bet was a big hit a few weeks ago. So we have another little special bet to put on the table for everybody. Then we're going to touch on some stars with injuries and what does that mean for them if they are a full go. Then we're going to kind of free ball it a little bit. Just whatever comes to mind, we're going to spit it out and talk back and forth. There's a lot to cover. And finish off with a little sneaky starts and how do we break down the Dolphins quarterback scenario. So you want to tell them what the bet's going to be, Hunter?
I don't want to because the last one didn't go so well, but this week we're going to do a little bit different. Last time we chose a receiver and kind of guessed what his outcome would be, kind of guessed the yardage of what he'd put up or the points. This week we're going to choose two different receivers and see who can outscore each other in standard. So my player is going to be Henry Ruggs, and Greg, your player is
Josh Reynolds. So some dart throw wide receivers that could goose egg you or put up 50 yards. That's what we're going to wager it against.
Man, this is going to be so intense. I now that I'm sitting on it and I chose Ruggs, I'm like really thinking of that it's not going to be that pretty.
I feel the same way with Reynolds. I think Ruggs' one catch will be more than all three of Reynolds. So it might suck. Hey, and we'll let everybody else out there know we're gonna go to a paintball place. We're hoping as many of y'all as possible will come out and join us. We'll have a good time.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you'll get to witness. We're gonna figure out a way to do either an obstacle course or a 50-meter dash where two people are gonna be lighting up the loser with some paintballs. So it'll be fun. We'll let everybody know the details and when that's gonna happen, and join us if you can.
If anyone out there could join and come through, that'd be awesome. We're gonna have a blast, and you might be the one that joins one of us lighting up each other. You could be the possible one.
Yeah, we're each, so whoever loses, let's say I lose, Hunter will choose one person in attendance to join him to light me up as I do whatever I have to do with paintballs. So it's a little incentive to get everybody out there. Somebody else is going to get to join in on the fun. So let's kick it off. Dalvin Cook. It looks like he has an ankle injury. We know that he left the game last week. He's limited in practice. It looks like he might go. How do you treat him if he indeed does start?
The way he's been playing, it's hard to sit Cook. Him and Henry are the RB1s on the year. You're starting him in most scenarios, especially because he said that he was playing. He kind of vowed that he would play this week, but I understand if you're very wealthy at the running back position and you have other options and you're scared he might get banged up mid-game and Madison comes in and kind of finishes the game. I get that. I don't see that happening because Cook said he's going to play, but I think you have to start him.
Yeah, and that's kind of the disclaimer we'll give is this is assuming that you've relied on this player and really need him to go. So same for me. If I need to win this week and Dalvin is active, I think you have to start him. If you went elsewhere and he had a big game, it would really hurt. The matchup's great. They're in a position where they need to win. I would hope they would hold him out against the Jags if it was serious. So if Dalvin starts, he starts for you.
Yeah, definitely. Next one we're going to hop right into is Josh Jacobs. He finished the game, but he was dinged up, and now he's being limited in practice. It looks like he's going to play, but it's kind of iffy scenario. What do you say?
And this is an injury that went a little under the radar. Personally, I didn't even know until well after the game that he was even hurt during the game. But I guess it's another ankle. And they're kind of trying to downplay it, saying it's not as bad as it looked. But he hasn't practiced yet, so he's probably on the wrong side of questionable. But if he starts, I will just say among this list, he is the one I'd be most likely to sit, even if he does start, because they also coming off a terrible, terrible game. But more than likely, if I don't have a good second option, I'm starting Josh Jacobs. But we were kind of talking a little before. A guy like David Montgomery, I would probably start him even if Josh Jacobs is active, just to avoid the possibility that he doesn't do much.
Yeah, and it's kind of the similar scenario with Cook, but their backup is pretty good. So Booker, if Jacob's not ready to go, it's not like they're gonna force him to go because Booker's actually pretty decent. So, and yeah, I have Montgomery this week, and I'm actually gonna start him over Josh Jacobs. But I'm in a scenario where I already have the bye secured, so I'm kind of sitting pretty. I don't really need a boom play. I just need a floor play, kind of. So. Josh Jacobs is iffy. Kind of monitor the Friday practice report, but I mean, if you can go somewhere else, I'd probably go somewhere else.
And that's the thing. Most owners, if this is a must-win week, you probably go with your stud.
You got it. I mean, if he got you the dance and you need to win this week, it's going to be hard to sit him. I know not everyone's like running back as wealthy as I am right now, so I get that. So.
But let's say that Dalvin and Josh Jacobs do miss. Are Madison and Devontae Booker both auto starts for you?
Madison, yes. Booker, he's more iffy, but I mean, he's been looking good as of recently. I mean, obviously last week didn't look that good, but I mean, as a whole, the Raiders didn't look good at all. But
Yeah.
I think you could do a lot worse than putting him in as your RB2 or flex if Josh Jacobs is out.
Yeah, I like Booker as well. So the backups are a full go if those two indeed sit out. The next one, he's hurt you a bunch of times, including me.
Yeah, speak on it.
I'm gonna tear up thinking about how he screwed me. But Julio Jones, and the thing about him is he's played so many games and then left. You would rather him just miss, but he's kind of a question mark right now. If he does suit up against the Saints, are you starting him?
No, I'm not. Because he started last week, and I think he only played 35% of the snaps. I'm about to look it up, but
yeah, it was the week before. He got held out last week, but the week before that, yeah, he really screwed you.
Oh wait, so that wasn't last week where he only played?
He sat out this last week, but the week before he was starting, and then just
okay, yeah, 22, yeah. So no, I don't think so. He'd been trying to play through it all year, and you can kind of tell. Some games it was really evident. Some games he looked better than others, but he looked sluggish. And with Ridley, and they have Russell Gage, and Hurst has been getting 40 yards a week. Like they have other options. I don't think that. I don't know. Julio's not Julio, right? Even though he is Julio, it's so weird. He's just injured. I don't start him right now.
He still had a couple really big games, but I personally can remember 3 off the top of my head games where he left early and didn't do anything, and that's a wasted start. For me, wide receiver is so thin, unless I'm in a 2 wide receiver league or just have really good depth. I think you do start him. I'm not starting a Tyler Boyd or a Sterling Shepard over him if he's active. But temper the expectations, and yeah, I mean, if you have other great options, Julio is definitely a risk to leave in the game and have 2 catches. So be wary, but you might have to start him like I will if he's active. It's the experience this year, and it is what it is.
Brandon Cooks or Julio Jones? Who are you starting this week? If Julio's healthy, they say he's healthy and he's starting.
That's a toss-up to me just because I'm not super high on B. Cooks right now. Yeah, I guess it depends what I need. If I need the safe play, Cooks. If I need the ceiling play, Julio. I would slightly lean Julio, but maybe that's bias as an owner. That's kind of the category you put him in.
I got one more. So, Terry McLaurin at Pittsburgh or Julio if he's healthy?
Terry McLaurin.
Okay.
So that's kind of, both of those guys are close for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, Julio is kind of a lower end wide receiver too if he's active.
Okay.
That's the way I'm looking at him.
Gotcha.
Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I'm right around the same range. Yeah, if you said that you were starting maybe Julio over Terry, I was going to be like, I don't know about that, but I'm kind of the same way on that. Let's get right into the next player. DeAndre Swift. It was kind of weird scenario. So he was out with the concussion, and now they're saying he's sick, but AP saying otherwise. What was the inside report, Greg? What did he say?
Yeah, Adrian Peterson came out and said that he doesn't look the same since his concussion, and it's kind of tough to watch.
Yeah,
that's scary.
Yeah, and AP's kind of his friend. Even when he got the job, he was saying, "Hey, I've been saying for weeks that DeAndre Swift should have the job. They're not like enemies or anything. It's not like they've been talking shit. Like they're actually kind of friends. And he said that, as a public statement. That's kind of like a big no-no. So,
yeah, I mean, I that looks like me. Like he's trying to draw attention to, hey, this guy's not ready to go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what brings him into this category. It's really sticky. Let's say that he practices in some capacity the next day or two and then plays on Sunday versus the Bears. Do you start DeAndre Swift?
I will flex DeAndre Swift. I will not. If you're in a standard position league where there's two RBs, two RBs, three wide receivers, I'm probably not starting Swift this week. Just kind of want to stay away from that, especially after Adrian Peterson's comments. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, if I hadn't seen the comments and I just saw, he came off the concussion protocol with an illness, I wouldn't be too worried. But that kind of bothers me, what he said. So
Yeah.
I'm in your case, where flex option at best. If I had the luxury of going elsewhere, I'm going to try to because I just don't know what we expect.
Yeah, same. Now, just kind of getting to the free ball segment, kind of out of the injuries. And injuries might pop back up. But,
But we're just trying to get a little informal. I mean, at this point, we're not talking about really long-term stashes and trades, so it's just kind of what is the topic of now. So one that Hunter was talking about earlier that really had us going, rest of season at tight end, who would I rather have, Trey Burton or Noah Fant? I'll answer and then let him answer the question that he proposed. I lean Noah Fant. Phillip Rivers, I think he's hurt a little bit. Burton's been the better tight end as of late. He's strung a couple touchdown games together, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
And Fant has done the opposite. But I think what Fant's problem was the injuries. Last week it was having no quarterback. I think both of those stop this week going forward. So while I'm not as high on him as early of the year, Burton scares me more than Noah Fant. I would rather own Noah Fant going forward. What do you think on this one?
I'm with you on that. Noah Fant's a way better talent than Burton, just being honest. Noah Fant's actually probably, a top 10 tight end talent in the league. He just doesn't have a great passing situation right now. But Drew Lock should be coming back after the close quarters protocol. And Drew Lock has been throwing some nice deep balls and passes over 20 yards. So I think that Fant's outlook is a lot better than Burton's, because Burton's is kind of touchdown dependent, like you said, and Fant could have yardage and touchdowns. He had some big games at the beginning of the season, but it's just been a weird scenario for the Broncos quarterbacks in situation this season. But I think Fant will finish stronger than Burton for sure.
But I think that's a close one to discuss,
Yeah.
so definitely there.
And I got another tight end one right off the hip, because the tight end situation is kind of iffy this season. So this week, would you rather play Austin Hooper at Tennessee, or would you play Hayden Hurst versus New Orleans? And Austin Hooper, he had the touchdown this week, and he almost had one last week, but it was an overthrow. He's only had two targets both games.
Yeah, that's true.
But Hurst has that kind of yardage. He's had at least 40 yards. Well, that one dud game against New Orleans.
He did goose in recent memory.
Yeah.
I want to say New Orleans has been on fire lately on the defensive side of the ball.
Past 6 weeks, the number one defense.
Underrated, yeah. I would not have thought number one the last 6 weeks. But having said that, give me Austin Hooper. And they're not playing in Cleveland, so I don't have to worry about the weather being such an issue.
Yeah.
I think that's hurt him. So at Tennessee, I like Austin Hooper. New Orleans has been too good for me to trust Hurst.
I agree with that. And I think that it's going to be a little different game script for the Tennessee Cleveland game. I think that Baker's going to have to throw the ball a little bit, because I think Tennessee's going to get up and they're might have to come back. I don't think it's going to be how Cleveland's been playing lately, where they've been running it pretty heavy. I think they're going to have to throw the ball a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. So something I'm looking at right now, just what do we make of the Green Bay Packers pass catching options? So Robert Tonyan, MDS, Valdez-Scantling, and Alan Lazard. What do you make of them against Philly and moving forward, just off the top of the head?
Well, I think MVS is out of the picture now. Fantasy-wise, I don't think... he could be like a DFS play. You fit him in your budget, and you hope for that long-distance touchdown, which is always a possibility when you have Aaron Rodgers. But volume and, who's actually being, schemed into plays, like red zone and just certain outlooks, is Alan Lazard and Robert Tonyan. So I like Robert Tonyan rest of the season. He's actually sneaky right now. I think he's a top 10 tight end, and he's like, I mean, he has I think 7 touchdowns on the season. He has so. I think Robert Tonyan is an actually nice tight end the rest of the season. I'm starting him this week. And Allen Lazard is a decent flex, but it's just hard with Adams healthy because he's the number one wide receiver target, and it doesn't matter if he's covered. Aaron Rodgers still throwing it to Adams, so it's kind of iffy on that. But Lazard, I like Lazard and Tonyan for the rest of the season. I would be willing to start them in certain situations.
That's kind of why I asked, because, I mean, their offense is on fire, but still, it's Adams usually and one other. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think Tonyan and Lazard get enough of the volume to have enough good weeks, and then MBS off the goose egg, he's no more. So I kind of hear what you're saying on that, and I tend to agree.
Yeah, Tonyan has 7 touchdowns on the week, and I watched the Pat McAfee show, and this week's interview on the Aaron Rodgers interview, he actually audibled. He called the audible for Tonyan, so, I mean, he has the trust there. So when Aaron Rodgers is saying he's audibling and he knows he's going to get a touchdown with Tonyan, I mean, that's kind of like a wink, wink, hint, hint that, I mean, he's kind of his boy now.
Yeah, the 7 touchdowns, that shocks me.
Yeah.
I would have guessed 3 or 4.
Well, he had that 3 touchdown game.
He did, you're right, you're right.
And then he's had one the past 3 weeks, if I'm correct,
so
or one the past 2 weeks.
I mean, he's kind of not the one-hit wonder you think.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive stuff.
So let's get right into another topic right here, up here. Christian Kirk. So he's been a little iffy the past couple weeks, but Larry Fitz is on COVID, and it looks like DeAndre Hopkins is going to be getting the number ones as always. And I mean, Hopkins is goated. We know that. We're Houston Texans fans, but he also can get locked down for a little dinky game every once in blue moon. It's not realistic possibility it happens. So what do you think?
So I'm just thinking from this that you're a little higher on him than me. He still worries me just because Kyler's shoulder, I think, is a little bit of an issue. But the way you put it, I think the Rams will score. They'll have to keep up. So Fitz, if he does miss, if Larry Fitz misses, Christian Kirk's not a bad wide receiver 3 or flex option. That's something I hadn't really considered, but they'll have to keep up. He'll avoid Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
I still would be careful with him because the Rams have been really good at getting to the quarterback. Yeah. But on a broken play or two, Christian Kirk, not a bad option.
I just know that Ramsey is Kid Lock D-hopped up. We've seen it, but we've also seen D-hops kind of go off on Ramsey in certain scenarios, so it's kind of give or take, which opens up Christian Kirk, but their cornerbacks are actually pretty good on the Rams. That Williams guy, the other cornerbacks, he's pretty decent, so I could see him maybe getting locked down, but I just think Kirk's kind of due and maybe going to get schemed this week knowing that Jalen's there to get maybe a touchdown.
He goes in the category for me of guys that might have been dropped out of frustration that you can play if you're in kind of a bind. If that's what you're going for, then I'm buying it. I could see him having a pretty good, decent fantasy output this week.
Okay, I got a question for you on that. So would you do Christian Kirk or Mike Williams?
Mike Williams.
He's
Who
at
do
home
the Chargers
for New England.
play? New England at home.
So J.C. Jackson, Stephon Gilmore, and the boys, they've decent cornerbacks.
They've been hit or miss.
I know, they've
been hit or miss. Oh, that's tough. I put both of them kind of in the same category.
I know.
You're hoping for something good. I think the Rams worry me more than most, so I'm going to go Mike Williams in that way.
And I like Herbert. Herbert can sling things.
Yeah,
so,
he is good.
He can throw 3 to 4 touchdowns on any day, and it's only a certain amount of people they can catch him, so I like that.
Yeah, definitely so. Another thing is kind of, at this point, you look at it, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, outside of James Robinson, who has been remarkable. I mean, we can't really
RB1.
We can't touch on that enough. He's remarkable. Even next year, he might be a first-round fantasy pick. Does somebody like DJ Chark or really anybody else on that team get you excited to put him in your starting lineup?
No, and Chark sat out last game. He had the injury, and it looks like he's all systems go this week, but it's still not Minshew. So that I still think you can't start anybody. Like we were kind of prepping for the wager bet, and I was maybe gonna suggest Keelan Cole is my guy. I went and looked, and Minshew's like not even projected to make it this week or next week. So there's no way I'm starting Keelan Cole. Chark, any of the boys, Chenault, none of them. You're literally only going to start James Robinson, and you're definitely going to start James Robinson. Like, you don't shy away from that. He's too good. His routes are good. He gets too much work with Gruden. The Gruden as the OC.
Yeah, I agree. And Chark might be somebody you kind of have to start if you just don't have the depth to really sit him.
If you drafted him high and you're kind of in a pickle, I get it.
Yeah, but I'm too not excited about it. Mike Glennon wasn't terrible last week.
No.
But for even the streams, the guys we just touched on, Christian Kirk, Mike Williams, even our two up top randoms of Josh Reynolds and Henry Ruggs, I would prefer over Chenault or Keelan Cole. So, yeah, the Jaguars' pass catching course kind of died as far as fantasy is concerned, and I don't think we should expect anything different going forward.
Yeah. Let's touch on a receiver that we think is going to have big games, but he's not really doing it. Marvin Jones. I mean, it looks like Galladay's going to be out again. We didn't put him in the injury list. We kind of should have, but what do you say of Marvin Jones? I mean, if he was going to have a big game, the Texans were. I mean, it was the Texans, right? I mean, he had 12 targets and he didn't do anything with them, 48 yards.
So, see, I was actually scrolling right now through trying to find Marvin Jones versus for a start-sit scenario, and one I'm coming up with is CeeDee Lamb. So I'll send it right back your way. CeeDee Lamb, they're both bad matchups. CeeDee Lamb versus the Ravens or Marvin Jones versus the Bears. If you're in a pinch and need to stream a wide receiver 3, which two do you go with? CeeDee Lamb didn't do a whole lot last time. He dropped a touchdown. I think he finished with 20 or 30 yards. Who do you go to in that scenario?
Man. I want to say Marvin Jones just because Stafford, and he's probably a little bit more healthy. He was kind of playing through injury. I don't know. Man. I'll go Marvin Jones. I'll go Marvin Jones because CeeDee Lamb is probably a wide receiver 1 talent in the league. He's probably, honestly, top 15 talent right now in the league. But, I mean, when you don't have a quarterback, I mean, it's hard to show. I mean, and they throw the ball to Cooper, and they throw the ball to Schultz and Gallup. Like, all these other guys get targets too. So, I mean, I guess I'm going Jones because it's only really him and Hawkinson. So, I mean, you kind of know where the targets are going. And then if Swift's there, maybe he's getting some targets too. But, I mean, you really don't have to worry about Kerryon or any of the running backs taking targets away either. So, I guess I'm going Marvin Jones in that scenario.
Okay. So, they're both tough. But gut feeling for me, I just want to say CeeDee Lamb. I don't know why.
He's good.
Yeah, the Ravens' D hasn't been as good lately. I think they still are missing some guys.
Look a little get dinged up last game. Couple of getting cramps.
If I had to start one of these guys, it would be CeeDee Lamb and hoping that they get blown out early and then some garbage comes to follow with Marlon Humphrey on Amari Cooper. So, that's a gross wide receiver 3 combination. I would go CeeDee Lamb, but I think the safe way with targets is Marvin Jones. But if I had to go one, it's Lamb. And you're going Jones?
Yeah.
That just shows with the tough matchups, it's anybody, It's hard to really put a finger on why one over the other, but that's how we feel.
Okay, I have a little weird scenario for you. So I'm going to do 2 running backs rest of season. Jonathan Taylor or J.K. Dobbins. Who do you think's actually going to have the better fantasy output the rest of the season if you're starting them?
I mean, just like off the top of my head, I want to say J.K. Dobbins, but if I think about it more, I want to go with Jonathan Taylor.
That schedule is nice.
Yeah, it's really the schedule. And even the week off, was he sick or was he a contact trace?
Who, Dobbins?
Taylor.
Taylor? I think he was a contract because I think Dobbins is actually sick because he was one of the first ones that came out. It was him and Mark Ingram were like the the originators of the virus. If they're relaying the news correctly, that's
okay.
It, so.
But I still like Jonathan Taylor in that point of view. He should be a little bit fresh, and the schedule is so soft. The Colts have a lot to play for. I like Dobbins, but the one game of him being the workhorse isn't enough to kind of overcome what was a committee leading up till that week.
Yeah.
So that worries me more as just starting him the rest of the way versus Jonathan Taylor, with Taylor's matchups being better. So that's where I go.
I'm actually leaning Dobbins, and if you watch the game last week that just happened, the Steelers, There's a lot of runs by Hill when we all thought that Edwards was just gonna get uh, bunches of carries. It was kind of the other way, kind of giving it to Hill because I think that they're kind of making that transition right now where Dobbins is going to get a lot of the first and second downs, and Gus is going to get the third downs and the goal line work still, but I think that Dobbins is better than Hill, and I think right now he has more juice than Gus Edwards, so I think it's going to actually translate into him probably out-touching Gus and having some good games ahead.
Yeah, I mean, common sense would tell you that Dobbins should get a lot of the carries,
Yeah,
and if he did, I like what I saw from him last time. That it just the committee part worries me, especially with so few.
But it's also kind of a committee.
It is.
Colts,
It is.
so.
It is. It definitely is. But I think the last we saw of Taylor was enough to get me excited.
I
That's a
hear you
good
on
one.
that.
That's
I
a
hear you
good
on
one.
that. Yeah.
I will say both of those moving forward are more valuable than either was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because a lot of other guys have been knocked off with injuries and ineffectiveness, and those two guys are probably in the top 16 to 20 range now.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. It's
So-
kind of crazy how things shape up.
So both of those, J.K. Dobbins and Jonathan Taylor, are good starts, I would say, moving forward when it didn't look so just a few weeks back. Fantasy changes quick, and you got to be nimble.
So, how do you feel about Mostert right now? I mean, he's had 12 carries for 44 yards. It wasn't crazy, but I mean, he looks like he's coming back. Like, what say of you of Mostert? Are you just plugging him in? Is he in for now or what?
I will say just a yes. Mostert is in for me if he, one, didn't re-injure himself, which it doesn't appear happened, and then the reason why is the Niners have to win, and he is their best back. Early in the year, he had some big-time runs. It was a pretty poor game with the lost fumble, but the Rams have been an excellent defense. Mostert, for me, is just a full steam ahead, start him every week kind of guy.
Okay, and I have a little scenario. So Mostert or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who do you start? I guess this week and rest of season.
Mostert. It's Mostert because
Okay.
I think what the Niners are going to do is run. I think
he schemed into it.
Yeah, exactly. I think what the Chiefs are going to do is pass. So
Mhm.
I think game-specific things can affect CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, more than Mostert.
Mhm.
I'm going to go Mostert.
Yeah, and I have more confidence in Mostert, and they don't even have Garoppolo right now. And I think that him taking a little extra time with the injury is kind of nice too. So I think he's actually healthy right now. So I also would lean Mostert over Edwards-Helaire just because when you have Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball, I mean, why you don't even need a run game. So it's not like they're building the run game for the playoffs. Like, it's just kind of weird. They just know that they can win with Patrick Mahomes, so they don't even try to establish the run every week. It's just whatever.
It's been crazy. Even when they get out to big leads, they just keep throwing the
Keep
ball,
throwing the ball.
and it works.
They could establish the run, but I mean.
And I think a big part of that is the Steelers being undefeated, so the Chiefs have no wiggle room if they want the bye, because it looks like only the first place team will get the bye. So I think the Chiefs are just going to blow everybody's doors off.
Tyreek Hill owners going nuts. Shout out.
Exactly. I'm playing Patrick Mahomes, and
Cheat of season.
I'm already assuming I'm going to chalk up a fat L. So I think they keep throwing. CEH, I'm just not thrilled about every single week.
I hear you on that.
So I'm trying to look. Do you have anything else that just comes to mind? I'm trying to think of a comparison with Zeke, another relatively garbage bag, just to see where do we think Zeke Elliott is at this point. I can't even find a good comparison. Here, let me go. Zeke Elliott against Baltimore or Melvin Gordon against the Chiefs. I'm just trying. Basically, I want to make sense of, is Zeke Elliott just a non-factor here on out, or do you like him versus a guy like Melvin Gordon?
When I watch the games, Tony Pollard looks better than Zeke.
Oh, much better.
Like, he has so much more juice. Like, not saying that he's an actual better back than him, but he's just running with way more authority. He's obviously not as banged up as Zeke. He just looks better. So, I don't know. I'd probably go Zeke just because of the volume, but Gordon looks like he also has more juice right now than Zeke. But, I mean, it's kind of hard to see after that game where there was no quarterback. It was Hilton, whatever his name is, dude. Yeah.
Melvin's had his share of duds as well.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I'll say that with Zeke, I think he just got rich and got fat.
Yeah.
When I look at him, I see a guy who's too fat to be an excellent running back.
Yeah.
He still has the natural gifts, but I don't think he's done everything in his power to be the best he can be.
And he embraced that whole, like, eating thing. Like, everyone knows he eats too much. He has the commercials where he's making a mess, eating and stuff.
And he has a tattoo on his stomach now. Yeah. It's a bowl that says, "Feed me."
Yeah, like,
on
he
his
literally,
fat belly.
everyone knows he eats too much. He's almost like, what was Eddie Lacy?
Eddie Lacy ate himself out the league.
Ate himself out the league. Man, that's funny.
So just Eddie Lacy, supposedly in Green Bay, he got near 270 pounds. And Mike McCarthy was just fucking pissed off. Imagine you're running.
Imagine you trying to like listen to Mike McCarthy's fat ass telling you not to fucking eat burgers. You're like, don't eat burgers. Yeah. He's like sitting there eating a fucking sandwich in front of you.
Exactly. But what you thought was a star running back in Eddie Lacy has put on 50 pounds and is just out there lumbering around like a tight end.
Dude, the only running back that should show up to training camp at 270 is fucking LeGarrette Blount. Like, there's no other running back that should fucking show up that heavy.
Correct.
That's just crazy. Him or fucking Vonta Leach, and he was a fucking fullback.
Exactly.
Let's go right into the sneaky starts. Kind of touch in the quarterback scenario. So I know that there's a quarterback carousel going on. A lot of injuries, a lot of scenarios, and we want to touch on Kirk Cousins. We think that he's gonna have a big week this week and kind of finish strong, like he's kind of been going since we touched on him and said he was going to be a back end QB1.
Yeah, outside of the obvious starts like Mahomes and all of them, I mean, the people that were streaming, Matt Ryan, Derek Carr, he's getting dropped after a negative output last week. Those kind of guys, I mean, this week Kirk Cousins is better. He's nice. I mean, Thielen's returning, Jefferson's great, Rudolph's still there, Irv Smith might return, which would be a big plus for him too. And also Dalvin Cook being dinged up. So the stars are aligning for Kirk Cousins to finish top 8. If you're one of the people streaming quarterbacks, I like him over Matt Ryan, Derek Carr. All of those options, Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins is a better start this week.
And he's been kind of sneaky like Deshaun Watson. I think I saw a stat where his like past 6 games, he's like number 1 in like a lot of the metrics, like QBR, completion percentage, touchdown ratio, a lot of things. He's top 5 in the past 6 weeks, kind of like Deshaun Watson. A lot of people were kind of stuck on the beginning of the season for him, but they're kind of going strong right now. Kirk Cousins, I think he's going to have maybe a top 8 week this week. I think he's going to do some magic.
And Kirk, I'm also a Vikings fan. I'm a Vikings and a Texans fan, and Kirk Cousins always graded out well in metrics. He is the guy that against a great defense with a good pass rush, he freaks out and is not good.
Yeah.
But in a good matchup, when he has a good pocket, he's as accurate as anybody with all levels of the field. So this week, being the Jags, they don't scare you as a defense. Kirk Cousins should have a big day. A lot of big plays, definitely. He's a big-time start this week. If you got to win, get Kirk Cousins in your lineup, and you'll probably get it done.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, don't be nervous about the Thielen stuff or Jefferson getting the 2 tutties. You start both of them, Thielen and Jefferson. We talk about it almost every week, but 2 people can coexist in there. He's just taken over the Diggs role, and he's actually a little bit more better than Diggs at running the route. So both of them are auto stars, 100%. No question.
Wide receivers gotten thin. I mean, Fuller, RIP, I had him. Just a lot of those options that we were hoping to emerge wouldn't. So guys like Thielen and Jefferson are both top 15 plays, no-brainers. The rest of the way, start them both.
Let's kind of talk about a receiver that's kind of emerging, potentially, depending on who starts at quarterback this week. Devontae Parker. So let's get into the Dolphins QB scenario. So Tua's limited.
He is.
He's projected to start, but it's also still a game time decision. So what say you, Greg?
So this situation affects a lot of people. So, Tua Tagovailoa, he's got a thumb injury. Let's say he starts. I'm not automatically benching Devontae Parker in that scenario, but I'm downgrading him. He only got some short touchdown looks from Tua, so he's more of a wide receiver 3 flex if he's there. Mike Gesicki goes back to the bench or waiver wire if it's Tua. And even the running game, I don't think they're as good. So, Myles Gaskin might return. If Myles Gaskin returns, no matter the quarterbacks, I'm not starting any Dolphins running back. If Gaskin does not return and Ahmad plays, I would like to play Ahmad. more often with Fitzpatrick,
Mhm.
a little bit Tua too. But as far as Devontae Parker goes, he's downgraded if it's Tua. I'm not touching Gesicki. If Tua cannot go and it's Fitzmagic, I really like Devontae Parker this week. He's a wide receiver 2 with upside to be a 1. And Gesicki is even in the top 10 tight ends for me. Do you feel the same way, or what do you think?
I'm kind of right on there with you. I'm a little more lenient on Parker if two is in there, but because I mean I know he had those 2 touchdowns on those 2 back-to-back games where one got called back on a review and one he barely dropped. So he does get the goal line fades. I mean that's literally like what his role is almost, but his role is a lot different with Fitzpatrick in there. I think he's a borderline, like you said, wide receiver 1 almost if Fitzpatrick is in there, and he's more of like your back end wide receiver 2 play. I'm depending on who you have, but I like him this week. I think I'm looking to maybe start him over Woods this week just because I think Cooper Kupp is going to get some of the tutties. So we'll see. We got to kind of see how the injury plays out, but if Fitzpatrick plays, you can start almost all the Dolphins you want. So if Ahmad, you can do Ahmad, Gesicki, Parker, but if it's Tua, you kind of have to hit the brakes and kind of think about things just because he did have some sluggish outings the last time. So
Yeah, and the matchup's good. Cincinnati is pretty defeated football team right now. They don't have a lot of talent. But yeah, when Tua's in there, they kind of look to win games without having to pass a lot to protect him, rightfully so.
yeah,
So basically what it seems like we're saying is Gesicki is the biggest person who flips or flops.
yes, definitely.
If it's Tua, I'm not looking to start him. Go with Trey Burton. Go with Jordan Reed instead. But if it's Fitzpatrick, Gesicki is in that same class, maybe even a little higher. So keep an eye on that on Sunday morning. See the inactives and then act accordingly.
Yeah, I mean I'm good. I think
Yeah,
we touched on a
I'm
bunch.
pretty good. So yeah, at this point, this is going to be our only episode this week. So we're relying on people out there with roster questions to please send them to us on Twitter, and we'll get to them that way. Because that's what it's about right now. It's not about building your roster. It's you've got what you've got. Who do you start when you've got to win? So if you have questions, send them to us on Twitter. We'd love to see your rosters.
Yeah, we reply to every single Twitter question we get. We try to do it as timely as possible, but we reply to all of them. Shout out to Grady, shout out to Fernando, people that message us. Yeah, and we're going to continue replying to them. So, and we're not right on everything, but we would give you what we would do in your scenario. And for some people, it's been working out. Some people kind of stung some people, but we'll keep it going.
I mean, that's what a fantasy is. Take
Yeah.
the information that's available, making your best possible guesses. So, like we said, this is it for us. Good luck on Week 13. If you've got questions, send them to us on Twitter. To recap, on Sunday, you are watching for Josh Reynolds versus Henry Ruggs in a standard scoring league. Who scores more? If Josh Reynolds scores more than Ruggs, Hunter will be doing the paintball death run in some capacity, and everybody's welcome to join. And if Henry Ruggs catches a bomb and outscores Josh Reynolds, then I will be the one in the winner paintball death run. So keep an eye on those guys, and then you'll definitely see from us what is the plan and when we're going to execute that. So we are the Fan Bros, Week 13. Good luck, everybody. We're out.